Today you will learn how to use a linear equations in slope-intercept form, and this is in chapter 5 lesson 2, use linear equations in slope-intercept form. Make sure that you are writing the lesson number, the title, and everything that follows. Write an equation of the line that passes through the given point and has a given slope m. The slope m is given, and you are also given a point which is negative 4, 7, and the steps involved in finding an equation is this. So since the slope is given, we are going to go with the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Now, if they are asking you to write an equation, you should only have y as a variable and x as a variable. Everything else should change to numbers. So you are given m, so we are going to use what m is. So you're writing y is equal to, replace m by negative 5x plus b. I'm taking the negative 5, I am substituting in the place of m, and I'm changing it to a negative 5. So that is a one step. Now going to the second step, you need to find what b is. Remember, if they are asking you to write an equation, you should only have y and x as your variables. So which means you have to find what the y-intercept b is. To find that, you are going to take this point as x and y, and you're going to substitute for x is negative 4 and substitute 7 for y. So let's replace y by 7 equals negative 5 times x. To change it to a negative 4, make sure that you are using the parenthesis, plus 4 plus b. So you got 7 equals negative 5 multiplies negative 4 to give you a 20 plus b. This will be a one-step equation, minus 20 on both sides, line, and you have b equals negative 13. So you have m equals negative 5, which comes from the equation, and you have solved to find b as negative 13. Now once you have these two, you can write an equation. So the equation is going to look like y is equal to negative 5x minus 13, because I'm going to replace m by negative 5 and b by negative 13, keeping my x as a variable and y as a variable, and that is the answer. That is what they are asking you to write as an equation. Please make sure that you are recording this, and also please make sure that you are rewinding and watching it again to understand. Question number 13. Write an equation of the line that passes through the given points. So you are given 2 points. If you have 2 points, you can obviously find the slope. So I'm going to replace this by x1, y1, my first x, my first y, x2, y2. So now I have y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 to find the slope. So I'm replacing y2 by 1 minus my y1 is a negative 5. Make sure that you're using the parentheses because you got multiple negatives coming along. And your x2 is negative 5 minus x1 is 10. And solve this. The numerator is going to be 1 plus 5. 2 negatives changes to a positive. And the denominator, negative 5 combines with the negative 10 to give you a negative 15. So which gives you 6 over negative 15. And they both can be simplified by 3 to give you negative 2/5. And since it is a fraction that terminates, I'm going to write it as negative 0.4. So my m is going to be negative 0.4. So I got the slope. Since I got the slope, I'm going to erase everything that follows. Finding more space. Now go back to this question. They are asking you to write an equation. Remember, if they are asking you to write an equation, it has to look like y equals mx plus b, where x can be a variable, y can be a variable, but m and b should change to numbers. You have found out what m is, which is negative 0.4. So using what you have and taking one of the point. So this is your second step. For the second step, you need to find what b is. To find b, you can either take this point or you can take this point. either one of them will work. So for example, if I choose to take this point, I'm going to take this as my x and my y. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to this equation, and for y, I'm going to replace it by -5 equal sign. My m, I'm going to replace it by -0.4. My x, I'm going to replace it by 10 plus p. Replace y by -5, replace m by -0.4, replace x by 10, and solve for b. So this is going to give you -5 is equal to -0.4 times 10 is going to give you just -4 plus b, one-step equation, plus 4 on both the sides. Cancel. You have b is equal to -1. So I'm going here, and I have found my m. Now I also have found my b, which is going to be -1. If I know both of them, it is easy to write an equation which is going to look like y is equal to mx plus b, which is going to be this. Remember the equation y equals mx plus b. Replace m by -0.4, replace b by -1, and this is the answer. Now let's summarize the steps. Write this down. Step number 1, find the slope, which is your m. Step number 2, copy this down as well. Step number 2, use one of the points. It can be any point. Use one of the points and use the m which you found and replace your x, your y, and your m by the numbers and solve for b. Step number 3, write the equation using m and b. So make sure that you write these steps down, and these are the steps involved if you are given the slope and you are given any point and you want to write an equation. Now let's continue. Which function has the values f of 4 equals -15 and f of 7 equals 57? Now, this is still the x and the y we are talking about. So let's take the first one. F of 4 equals -15. Now, this is a function. So basically, remember your f of x is nothing but your y. So y is just called by another name, which is your f of x. So what I'm going to write is, this is my x and this is my y. If you need a simple tip, you can just cover this f and pretend it is not there and take this as your x value and take this as your y value. So the point you're going to get is 4, -15. Now let's go for the second point, which is this. F of 7 equals 57. Mark this as your x and mark this as your y. So the point you're going to get is 7, 57. So once you get your 2 points, you do not have to worry about your f of x, so you do not have to get confused. So I'm going to go here, and this will be my starting point. The 2 points that I have, I'm going to take this as my x1, y1, x2, y2. First x, first y, second x, second y. And now you need to find the slope. So this is the first step, find slope. So to find the slope, which is your m, you need to have y2 minus y1 divided by your x2 minus x1. So y2 is 57 minus y1 is also coming with a negative sign, so I'm making sure that I put it inside a parenthesis, and x2 value is 7 minus 4. Solve this, and 57, two negatives becomes a positive, and 7 minus 4 is a 3. So this is going to give you 72 divided by 3, which is going to be 24. So you found your slope to be 24. So step number 1 is done. You found the slope. Now step number 2 is the multi-steps. So step number 2, you are going to use the slope, which is this, and you're going to take any one of these points. It does not matter whether you take the first point or whether you take the second point. So I'm going to take this first point. I'm going to go back to the original equation, y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to take my y value to be as negative 15, my m to be as 24, which is what I got, and my x value to be as 4. Remember, mx means m times x, so 24 times 4 plus b. Now this is your one-step equation. Negative 15 is equal to 96 plus b. Solve, minus 96 on both sides. Cancel, and you get b is equal to negative 1, 1, 1. So now let's go back over here, and you got your b value to be as negative 1, 1, 1. So you got your slope and you got your y-intercept. So let's construct an equation using these two. So the equation will be y is equal to mx plus b, and y is equal to, substitute for m, substitute for b. The only two that can stay the letters will be the x and the y. Everything else has to change to numbers. So your m is 24x, your b changes to negative 1, 1, 1, and the correct answer in this case is D. Let's go to question number 31. Write an equation that represents a linear function shown in the table or mapping diagram. Remember, the first one is your x, the second one is your y. Also keep in mind, your f of x is the same thing as your y, nothing different. You can take any set of points. So the first point you're going to get is negative 3, 8, 3, 4, 6, 2, 9, 0. You can take these two equations, you can take these 2 points or these 2 points or these 2 points. You can take a combination of any 2 points. So for easy purpose, I'm just taking the first and the second. Using the first 2 points, which is negative 3, 8, and 3, 4, I am trying to find the slope first. So I'm going to call this as my x1, y1, x2, y2. My first x, first y, second x, second y. And the step number 1 is for you guys to find the slope. So the slope in this case is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So the y2 value is 4 minus 8 divided by 3 minus 3. Make sure that you're putting the parenthesis, which is going to give you negative 4 over 3 plus 3, which is going to give you negative 4 over 6, which simplifies to give you negative 2 over 3. I'm going to leave it as it is because it is not a fraction that terminates. It's a repeating decimal. I'm going to leave it as negative 2 over 3. So I have found my slope to be as negative 2 over 3. So now once I got the slope, I'm going to take my slope and I'm going to use any one of these points. So I have y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to replace my y, I'm going to replace my m, I'm going to replace my x to find out what b is. So I'm going to take my y value to be as 8, my slope to be as negative 2 over 3, and my x value to be as negative 3 plus b. And this looks like a fraction. I'm also going to make it look like a fraction by sticking a 1. So this is going to be 8 is equal to top times top, negative 2 multiplies negative 3 to give you a 6. 3 times 1 is going to be a 3 plus b. 8 is equal to 6 divided by 3 is 2 plus b minus 2 on both sides. This is your one-step equation. Cancel and you get b is equal to 6. So you have your m as negative 2 over 3 and you got your b value to be as 6. So once you got your slope and the y-intercept, all you need to do is write an equation, which is what they are asking you. Write an equation that represents a linear function. So you need to write an equation using these two values. So let's go back to y equals mx plus b and y is equal to, replace your slope by negative 2 over 3x, replace your y-intercept with positive 6. Do not forget the positive sign or else you're going to look at us a different way. So make sure that you have a sign to go for your y-intercept, and this is the answer for question number 31 where you got the equation.